Now, in other news, the Philippine Senate is voting on the Supreme Court's decision to block Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial. Senators have been debating for hours ahead of the vote. In February, the lower house of parliament had voted to impeach Ms. Duterte after she was accused of misusing public funds and allegedly threatening to have President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. killed. But the Supreme Court last month ruled to halt the trial, saying it is unconstitutional to have multiple impeachment proceedings in a year. The court, however, said the ruling does not absolve Ms. Duterte of her charges. The move has given the vice president some reprieve until at least next February. Ms. Duterte, widely seen as a strong contender for the 2028 presidency, which President Marcos cannot contest due to a single-term limit. And for more on this, CNA's Buena Bernal joins us live from Metro Manila. Now, Buena, we're still waiting for a result right now, but can you tell us more about the arguments that the senators have put forward?
Bewilderment and enlightenment were words we heard repeatedly in that 5-hour and counting long legislative caucus at the Philippine Senate. There were expressions of bewilderment and attempts at enlightenment in relation to that July 25 Supreme Court decision that nullified the impeachment proceeding against the vice president on the basis that it supposedly violated a constitutional provision that does not allow multiple impeachment proceedings against the same official within a year, considering that there were 4 impeachment complaints filed against the vice president in a span of a few months. And an ally of the vice president, Senator Rodante Marcoleta, arguing that the appeals process currently at the Supreme Court is a mere formality, considering that the decision was unanimous. 13 of the 15 Supreme Court justices voted to nullify the impeachment and 2 inhibited. But the minority leader, Senator Tito Soto, arguing that caution should be exercised considering that there is a pending motion for reconsideration, essentially an appeal. And another minority senator, Senator Risa Ontiveros, pointing out that there have been multiple instances in the past when the Supreme Court en banc overturned its decision despite the initial decision being unanimous in vote. But overall, the discussions zoomed in on the fact that the Senate should not defy the Supreme Court order. Earlier, the Senate President Francis Escudero said that he does not want the Philippines to be seen as a banana republic, and therefore it was important that the Senate is seen as following or not in defiance of an order by the High Court.
Now, Buena, we know that Ms. Duterte is seen as a strong contender for the presidency in 2028. But what will this result mean for Sara Duterte's political future?
Well, the House of Representatives, which will act supposedly as the prosecution panel for that impeachment trial that is now up in the air, argued before the Supreme Court in its appeal that this is all about accountability. But the fact of the matter is that a criminal conviction, whether graft or plunder, would still perpetually disqualify the vice president from public office or from running for public office. In other words, it will have the same effect as a conviction before an impeachment trial court. And the House of Representatives has already recommended the filing of criminal charges against Vice President Duterte. The vice president is accused of misusing millions in public funds, using fake names to justify the disbursement of those funds. In fact, it has been seen as comical because these fictitious names involve the use of, or the combination of popular junk food brands and popular restaurant chains. But the tides of Philippine politics changing could also be an important nuance, because even if she is perpetually disqualified from public office through a criminal conviction perhaps, or if a trial proceeds next year after that 1-year ban, a succeeding president can still pardon her, and that will also overturn the effect of a perpetual disqualification.
Buena, thank you so much for bringing us the latest. That was CNA's Buena Bernal reporting live from Metro Manila.